Harry's Wife, Part 101.69. You're Unhinged. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Invariably, if you were to ask somebody, do you have an opinion about Harry's wife, they probably will. She's something of a Marmite character. People like her, people dislike her. There may be a few who'll shrug and go, meh. But for most people, they'll have a view about her. And, of course, views and opinions are those things that are there to provoke debate and discussion. And along comes Mr. Rent an Opinion, Jeremy Clarkson. Many of you know as a former presenter of Top Gear and occasional newspaper columnist. And best mates, not, with Piers Morgan. More about that later. Mr. Clarkson put forward some views which, of course, will resonate with many people, also demonstrate the strength of feeling with regard to the Queen's funeral, and also provides further evidence of how more and more people see through Harry's wife's behaviour. This was first appeared in the Super Soaraway Sun. Let's dive in. Let's cast our minds back to the funeral of Princess Diana. Or Diana, then Princess of Wales. We'd never seen anything so enormous, or so unexpected, or so moving. There were so many crushingly sad moments that I sat there for hours, crying my eyes out. The hearse driving through a blizzard of flowers as it headed up the M1 to Althorpe. The princes, Harry and William, following the coffin, which was adorned with a floral display, and a card that simply said, Mummy. And of course, Elton John singing, Goodbye, England's Rose. I was in bits. But I was also a little nervous, because I kept thinking, how can a funeral ever be more gut-wrenchingly magnificent than this? Really? Strange thing to be thinking while you're watching a funeral, but still. And if it can't, what will happen when the Queen dies? Will we all just think that an old lady has passed away and not pay much attention? And if we did, would her send-off be smaller than Diana's as a result? Well, we all know the answer to that now. The Queen's funeral dwarfed everything anyone, anywhere in the world had ever seen. It dwarfed our wildest expectations. This was a primary-coloured, 5-mile-long disturbance in the Force. That scene when her coffin came down the mile, with all those people watching, and all those flags, and all that soldiery in their Sunday best, was more exciting and more emotional than anything I could ever have imagined. I was gasted with flabber. I wasn't sobbing, though, because I was too busy reeling with joy and gratefulness at the sheer size of it all, and the majesty and the brilliance of absolutely everyone involved. I was also breathing a massive sigh of relief, because if the crowds had been patchy, that would have sent out a worrying signal that us lot, the nation's ordinary people, wanted a Diana style of royalty more than we wanted the version built over 70 years by the Queen. That we wanted pretty girls and low-cut frocks more than we wanted hard work and sensible shoes, which would have turbocharged the drive systems and ambition of Harry's wife and her cunt-struck husband, Harry. I don't want to sound like Piers Morgan, who's obsessed with the Markles, because I never want to sound like Piers Morgan. Just halting there for a moment, you may or may not know that there's history between Clarkson and Morgan. The two actually came to fisticuffs many years ago, whereby Morgan, in his role as newspaper editor, was exposing the affairs that Clarkson was engaging in. And I think the two met at a newspaper awards ceremony, and Clarkson didn't take kindly to the fact that his own behaviours had been exposed, so he sought to land one on Piers Morgan, if my memory serves me correctly. Naturally, he doesn't like Piers Morgan, and will, where opportunity allows, he will look for a cheap shot against him, and does so, both in terms of saying that he doesn't want to sound like Piers Morgan, and by claiming that he's obsessed with the Markles. As I have explained in parts passing, Piers Morgan is not obsessed with them. It's quite simply, she keeps coming up on his radar, and he, as a narcissist, has to respond to assert control over her, and therefore he does. Of course, there are those who are hard of understanding, who believe that he is obsessed. He's not. But anyway, it's worth making that point for you by way of clarification and understanding. Returning to the article, Jeremy Clarkson writes, "But I'm afraid there's no way round it. He's right. And I am going to sound like him when I say those two are unhinged." Here are some questions Harry's wife might like to answer. On the day the Queen died, why did William and his party wait in London for such a long time that they arrived in Scotland, we are told, after the Queen had died? And why did Harry then arrive on his own, and then leave on his own early the next day? Were you being a nuisance somehow? As you know, viewers, the answer to that is a resounding yes. Or were you too upset to go? Viewers, again, you know, the resounding answer to that is no. Sure, we were shown pictures of you crying at the funeral, but you're an actor, for crying out loud. Not a very good one, I admit, but an actor nevertheless. And actors can cry on demand. Even I can, and on a number of occasions have. I very much doubt those tears were real, because why would you cry at the funeral of someone who fronted an organisation that you very obviously despise? It'd be like me crying when Piers is taken to that great larder in the sky. And Harry, well, when it came to a choice between singing God Save the King, which would have pleased his family and about 4 billion people around the world, and not singing, which would please no one but his wife, he chose not to sing. As an aside, the fact is that shows the level of control that she has over him, and the fact that if he were to sing, that later on the electric cattle prods would have been applied to his pink pods by way of punishment for him offending his wife's sense of control. Interestingly, Mr. Clarkson then writes, that could be because he has giant balls, but it's more likely that Harry's wife got them attached to a bomb in a chest of drawers in their hideous house in California. Maybe that's what all those suspicious bulges were under her tight-fitting dress, the detonator. For the past few months, the Markles have felt like their drive to becoming the new royal family was going pretty well. He was clowning around on a bus with that half-wit, James Corden, arsehole. And she was getting quite a bit of traction among a small gang of teenage feminists who think that the old royal family may be racist meat-eaters. This is what's been spurring her on. A sense that because the Queen never complained and never explained, Harry's wife could rampage around the place spewing poison, telling her truths, in inverted commas, and in so doing winning the hearts and minds of the stupid and the socially disabled. But then she got to the Queen's funeral, and in her scheming head she must have thought, oh shit, this royalty business is bigger than I thought. You're damn right it is, love. The royal family in this country has lasted for more than 1,000 years and is massively respected, as you've seen, by billions of people across the globe. Whereas you are a divorced and mostly friendless 2-bit actress who's thrown away your family and asked your husband to do the same thing. And for what? A bit of money? I used to know Harry a bit. We played tennis together. I won, and he once came and drove us the Stig on Top Gear. He was a good lad. But you, Harry's wife, have filled his head with woke American nonsense and ruined him. God knows what he gets in return. Actually, scrub that, because of course God does know. What we know down here on Earth is that he wanted to wear a uniform at the funeral. He wanted to salute at the cenotaph. He wanted to be there for his family at his grandmother's funeral, and because of you, Harry's wife, he couldn't. As a result, we are not interested in you or your podcasts or your foundations, and we are certainly not interested in your husband's forthcoming tell-all buck, if you can call something written in crayon a buck. I am longing with all my heart to not read it. I do not wish Harry's wife any harm. I hope that after she has been photographed sitting by herself on the back of a Playboy super yacht and outside the Taj Mahal, she goes on to lead a long and happy life. But she should know this. When she dies, hopefully many years from now, she will not be carried in front of millions by stoic men with good hearts and strong arms. If it's a slow news day, the best she'll get is a small obituary in the Times on page 27, because her whole being is based on nothing at all, and we prefer people with a bit more stuff going on. That's why we like the Queen, and it's why we like Charles, and it's why many years from now, after he's been through a blizzard of roses, we will like William too, and then way on down the road, George. So, Harry's wife, my dear, to use the sort of language you Americans understand, you're going to lose this war with our royal family, and you're going to lose it big. Jeremy Clarkson not pulling any punches whatsoever there, and stating a number of truths. That, of course, will undoubtedly come to the attention of Harry's wife. It's challenge fuel. He's talking about her, it's all good, except he's repeatedly criticising her. How will it be dealt with? Well, you can expect yet more shopping list tick-boxing exercises with puff pieces in the media to counter the kind of things that he's touched upon. And, of course, he will just be relegated to the position of a gammon, a racist hater who is against her because she uses too much bronzer on her face whilst the rest of her body remains quite pale. The fact is this. Another outspoken, admittedly, columnist sees her for what she is, but he embodies much of what people are saying. That's why Clarkson is so popular. He embodies the way that many people see her. And, of course, she again is incapable of recognising the resonance through which Clarkson's words will be felt by other people, that they will agree with him, that they will applaud his sentiments and observations. She, as she continues her downward spiral, will dismiss them, and that's why she will fail. Unlike a more involved, intelligent narcissist who wouldn't, of course, have put themselves in this position in the first place, but nevertheless, should they face difficulties, they have regard to an appropriate way of manipulating their way out of it. Not her. Her narcissism doesn't know how to, other than repeatedly smear others, dismiss them, and continue on the path that she's always followed. Draw somebody in, suck the life out of them, spit to one side. However, she has bitten off more than she can chew in relation to the Queen Elizabeth and the funeral. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.